Well, people, the holdouts, the traitors, as they were from the Democrats on the far left, they're starting to speak out. And what they're starting to say is only making things worse for the far left. Guys, the progressives had a very bad day yesterday, and it's only getting even worse today. And their responses on X and social media is showing just that. We are going to have a blast right now because it turns out that independent senator from Maine, Angus King, said it was never going to work to stand up to Donald Trump. So he might as well have just caved in. Guys, this is going to make you smile. And also the left is losing their collective minds, which is a bonus on top. So if you're down with for this fight and enjoying the party, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. We have got some stuff to talk about, but let's dive right into it. All right. You can follow me, of course, on X at Braden LOA. Let me just set this up right. Because you know the party that says, it's not about color and it's not about orientation and it doesn't matter who you are and how you identify, anything of that nature. You know that party? Yeah, they're not handling it too well because it turns out it's all white people's fault. Angus King is 81 years old. The independent U.S. senator from Maine has held elected office for a total of 30 years. Old, white, out of touch, working against people of color, and last night he did exactly what Trump wanted, said the white guy. All right, excuse me, sorry. Now let's jump into what he actually said, because this right here, guys, it's remarkable to see what you and I talked about for so long to be now heard from the mouth of an independent senator who caucuses with the Democrats. Listen to this on MSNBC this morning. Angus King.
Well, Joe, you have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were two goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump. The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue. The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was there was zero likelihood that it was going to. In terms of standing up to Donald Trump, the shutdown actually gave him more power.
Well, hold the phone. I think you and I talked about that because the shutdown literally gave him the Office of Management and Budget and the ability to cut spending, cut funding, and cut jobs in the government sector. That whole thing he couldn't do through Doge, the Democrats enabled. So Angus King is not wrong on that. They made him more powerful. In fact, that was many of the talking points of which we talked about on this channel because it was quite obvious. But it's good to know that they saw it too. Let's keep on going.
Today being what he's done with SNAP and SNAP benefits across the country. Oh, by the way, Joe, you're going to love this. Guess who's getting paid during the shutdown? Not the park rangers or air traffic controllers, the ICE agents. Under special law, under that big, awful bill that they passed last summer, the ICE agents are being paid. Nobody else is. So standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power.
Standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It gave him more power. And as you can see, this leftist account is not handling this well. Resign. Genuinely. Just effing resign. The left is losing their minds because they got stymied again by a guy who they said is evil, a fascist, is a complete and total moron, but they still seem to keep losing to him. It's kind of like that really uncomfortable thing where the opponent of your opponent is so stupid, or at least you claim to be, but he still beats you. So what does that make you? I mean, I didn't say it. Anyway, let's keep on going because we've got something else I want to show you. We are moving so fast. Angus King said something else, which is setting the lefties up for a bad, bad day. Because it turns out that all of these things were actually not working, and now they're turning on each other, per Joe Scarborough on MSNBC. Wait until you see this, Angus King responding to Senator Bernie Sanders. Guys, get the popcorn because this is just the first video we have coming today. All right, let's get it.
I don't want to land at an airport in the United States with a sleepy air traffic controller because they're working double shifts. So any good general, if the strategy isn't working, you change tactics And particularly, you change tactics if your own troops are at risk. And that's really what's happening here. There was collateral damage to the American people. At the same time, the goal wasn't being achieved. So we're going to change. We're going to change the narrative. And now we have a guaranteed vote within the next month on the ACA tax credits, drafted by the Democrats, that the majority leader has agreed to bring to the floor. That's a big deal, and it gives us a chance to put the Republicans to the test. Are you going to work with us on this issue or not? In the midst of the shutdown, they just weren't talking.
And that's something else that you and I discussed. In the midst of the shutdown, they just weren't talking. That's because the left was doing this. And remember all those talking points that we heard, and we were told that the Republicans were shutting down the government, the Republicans being meanie pantses, and the Democrats, it was working, it was perfect, it was flawless, it was immaculate. The Republicans were on their back foot, the Democrats were on the front foot for the first time in a decade. Glory be to whomever they want for 5 days until the entire thing fell apart, and it turns out they were never winning to begin with, and the Democrats had no exit strategy. Y'all, come on. All right. Maybe I'm missing something. Let's just finish the clip out. We got a minute left. This is phenomenal. The exchange between Sanders and Angus King. Watch this.
So Bernie Sanders and other progressive leaders have said that you and other moderates that have voted to reopen the government are going to cause great damage to the Democratic Party, and many will see it as a betrayal, and that voters will remember next November. What do you say to Bernie Sanders?
Well, I think what I'm saying is, what was your strategy, man? What was your end game? If we're going to extend the shutdown another week, another month, through Christmas, Thanksgiving, is that going to get us anywhere? The point is, there never was an end game if the initial strategy didn't work. And now we have one. We're going to have, as I say, a guaranteed vote on the ACA. And it may not succeed. I grant that. But a reasonable chance, 10, 20%, 30%, is a lot better than 0%, which is where we were as of yesterday morning. So
now, this is the whole point. 10, 20, 30% is a whole lot better than 0% chance, because the Republicans and Donald Trump were kicking the crap out of them on this. Just like we talked about on this show, we talked about multiple times how the Trump administration and the Republicans had all the cards. The Democrats were only playing with the hand of, well, we're going to try to PR maneuver out around you. That was the entire point. Even Angus King, who caucuses with the Democrats, even said, what's your end game here? Government shut down forever, and that was extremely obvious the entire time. They didn't have an end game. The end game was anything to resist Trump. That was the whole point. It didn't matter what it was. It could have been healthcare. It could have been the border. It could have been Martian politics. It doesn't matter. If it came out against Trump, that's all that mattered for their base. And now their base is irate at them because they gave up on that core mission. Again, here comes the other little punch here.
I understand everybody wants to stand up to Donald Trump. Everybody wants to deal with the ACA tax credits. I do too. The question is this the right tool to do it? And it's becoming counterproductive, and you can't ignore 42 million people not getting their SNAP benefits.
Is it the right tool to be productive? And the fact is, it wasn't. 10, 20, 30% is better than a guaranteed 0%. Guys, the left is losing their minds because they're openly saying right now, right here, what was the end game? There was no end game, and it was extremely transparent. And now, let them continue eating themselves, and this is going to be incredible. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I can't wait to hear what you guys think, and of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. I'm Braden. See you later.